At quite possibly what could be the all-American cartridge and rifle. This is a bolt action 30-06. If it looks backwards to you, well, it's a left-handed action. This one is made by Ruger. It's the M77 Mark II. It's got a 24-inch barrel. Most 30-06s have between a 20 and a 22-inch barrel. Why does it have 2 extra inches of barrel? Well, life's better with an extra 2 inches. It's got a limb saver recoil pad that I put on it and fitted. This borrows very heavily from the Mauser design. Matter of fact, a lot of the parts on this gun are mirror images to my Mauser 98. And the reason I say they're mirror images is my Mauser 98 is a right-handed action. And we have the Leopold 3x9 by 40 scope. It's been on this thing almost 20 years. It's had to be readjusted twice in those 20 years. Very tough scope. The mounts on it is what I really like on this design. You don't have any bases separate from the rifle. The rings mount directly to the rifle itself. Been a fine rifle. I've had it 20 years. I bought this whenever I was doing a little more hunting up in Georgia. We were taking longer shots across fields, and you needed a scoped rifle capable of taking the longer shots. Prior to that, I was a lever gun man in 30-30. The interesting thing, this was one of the few left-handed rifles I could find in a bolt action. Now we're going to get to the part of this that is meant for the serious hunter and shooter. Not your barnyard commando that's hiding out in mama's basement. 30-06 denotes a 30 caliber bullet, and it was adopted by the military in 1906. We had adopted the Springfield rifle in 1903, and it was a fine rifle. The reason the cartridge is denoted as 06 when it was adopted in 06 was because when the 03 Springfield was originally adopted, it was adopted with a load of a 200 grain round nose bullet. Same casing. 1906, we adopted a spire point bullet, full metal jacket, pointy at the end for better downrange ballistics. Prior to the 30-06, we'd been using the 30-40 Krag as our military rifle in the Spanish-American War in the Krag Jorgensen rifle. Some people felt it was underpowered. It was like a 30-30 on steroids, but it did not have the range that the 7x57 Mauser or the 8mm Mausers had. So we borrowed from the Mauser design, and we went to a similar type bullet. These are the hand loads that stay in this rifle. This is a 165 grain bullet. It's loaded with IMR 4350, Winchester primer, and Winchester brass. This load out of this rifle over the chronograph at the muzzle gives 3,150 feet a second. Also, out of this rifle with this load, it will also group at around a ½ inch at 100 yards. This load has been tailored and tuned to this rifle. When the military adopted the 30-06, it was using a 173 grain bullet. That was our M1 ball round. They also experimented with some 150 grain bullets to get a slightly higher velocity. That was our M2 ball round. Now we get to the intellectual part of it. Major General Julian Hatcher, was out on Ormond Beach doing some experiments with the 30-06 cartridge in the early 1900s. Now, amongst the guys he had assembled with him were his guys from Springfield Arsenal. Amongst those guys was Elmer Keith. He was the young guy at the time. And Hatcher's notebook that Julian Hatcher had wrote is back in print, and for serious shooters, particularly guys that like military stuff, it's a must read. What we found over the years with this is that the 30-06 is probably one of our most versatile cartridges. We can load it with cast bullets. We can load it with full metal jackets. We can load it with soft points. We can load it with the fancy ballistic tip type bullets. These are actually 165 grain Remington IQ-tips, which are the same bullet as the SST bullet that Hornady makes. Just one of them has a red tip. This one has a tan one. Both of them were made by Hornady. This just happens to have the tan tip made for Remington. Great bullet. These also have a 9-degree boat tail at the base of it. Usually weights, you'll find bullet weights common from 150 to 180 grain bullets in the 30-06. I've gone as low as running 110 grain varmint bullets on up to 200 grain round nose bullets, depending on what I was shooting at. This is what I use for shooting at deer around here. I know I could get away with a lighter bullet. I could go to a heavier bullet. This is just the one this rifle likes. When we look at that and we figure in the versatility of this rifle and the cartridge, you probably don't have a better do-all rifle for anything you'd run into in the United States, and probably in most places in the world. You can get this cartridge in just about any type rifle you want, be it a bolt action. You can get semi-automatics. I recommend the BAR and the semi-automatic over the Remington. The Remingtons have been known as Jam-O-Matics. Spend the extra money and buy a BAR if you're going to go semi-automatic in 30-06. You can get them in lever guns. They're not common, but they are there. Pump shotguns, pump rifles, single shots, you name it. This is a gold standard cartridge. Anyway, that's been a look at it and been a look at my rifle. I hope y'all forgive me stepping on my tongue a few times during this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you get a chance, check out Hatcher's notebook and you'll get a lot of insight into this cartridge, particularly its early development. It's been around officially since 1906. This is 2017, so that's 111 years. Still kicking ass and taking names. Still one of the most reliable deer killers on the planet. And anything else has been pointed at. Germans and Japanese learned to fear it. Deer over here have learned to fear it. Bear. What makes it still a viable cartridge is you can do just about anything with it. From loading it with light bullets and shooting varmints and critters. You can shoot it with cast bullets and plink with it. You can load it with deer bullets from big game. You can load it with even heavier bullets and go after even bigger game. Well, this has been a look at it. We'll talk to you later. Bye.